Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So in this video, I'm going to be looking at the Leo full moon lunar eclipse on March 3rd, 2026. Um, so here you can see moon joined Ketu. So it's going to be a Ketu full moon. And so this is the placement here of moon, and we also have, of course, the aspects from all of these planets in Aquarius. Now let's switch back to the new moon, the Aquarius new moon, our solar eclipse that we had on February the 17th. And you can see Rahu there in Aquarius joined Mercury, Venus, and of course Moon and Sun. This past couple of weeks have been very much about Rahu, but it's also Rahu and Ketu because the two nodes are one and the same, part of the same continuum, just different extremes of the same energy. So the nodes will really bring out certain tendencies, certain experiences, certain actions, certain life experiences, depending upon their placement. So we will feel the extremes of that during an eclipse season. But they are complex energies, and the complex energies describe, not everyone will be experiencing them to the same degree, in the same way, even if you have the same ascendant signs and so on, because there's so much going on. So let's have a look at, let's zoom back, zip back a couple of weeks to the new moon. So it's important to pay attention to Rahu's placement. Well, it's important to pay attention to any placement, but what we're getting with Rahu is the effect is activity around our samskaras. Rahu activates and brings to life our karmas, our samskaras, which is really the basis of astrology and really the basis of life. It's our karmas, our actions. So the nodes are really baked into the whole kind of incarnation, human experience. So Rahu will engage, Rahu will bring to life, and whatever it is associated with. So we look at the sign that it's in, we have a look at Rahu's associations, the conjunctions, aspects, and so on. So for example, if we look at Libra ascendant, Libra, for Libras this month, this has been about their self-expression and their creativity. So Rahu will bring that creativity to life. Rahu will bring out that self-expression and creativity for the Libra. Who knows what it is? For each Libra, it's going to be something could be something very different for each Libra. Each Libra person will want to manifest that creativity in some way, though. There'll be that creative urge there, or there'll be that urge to learn about themselves and to grow as an individual. Ketu, on the other hand, Ketu, as I've talked about in many of these videos, Ketu is that energy, that part of us where we feel exhausted, where we feel depleted, and where we feel tired. And so Ketu, like Ketu energy will tend to have an effect of draining us. Its effect is on the samskaras. We will tend to feel like we do not want to do any of those things. We're tired of those things. So Ketu will bring that exhaustion to our samskaras, to our tendencies. And that exhaustion for Libra, for example, will manifest in their aspirations and ambitions. So Libras will maybe feel unenthusiastic about achieving some kind of great desire, or it basically shows a lack of ambition and a lack of desire. There may be some issue or problem or grievance that Ketu part of us has about something in the past related to that ambition or aspiration, and Ketu feels like Ketu part of us feels like we don't want to go there anymore. We don't want anything more to do with that thing. Basically, Ketu is that energy of relinquishing the karma, relinquishing the samskara, letting go of it. So since last year, it was fairly late last year that the nodes went into the Leo Aquarius axis. So Libra people may be feeling that push and pull between those areas of life. Rahu pulling them towards their individuality and creativity, and then Ketu pushing away from the aspirations and service to others, sort of thing. So if we look at the chart of the full moon here, we have Moon here joined Ketu. So as I said, it's going to be a Ketu full moon. Now, in general, Ketu's influence on the moon and Ketu's influence on the full moon will be to draw us in, to draw us into ourselves, to draw us into our mind, into our consciousness. And the effect of Ketu will tend to be, the effect of Ketu on the full moon, this will tend to bring about contemplation and reflection, contemplating and reflecting and thinking upon the past, especially the past actions relative to Ketu's placement. For example, like I said about Libra and their aspirations and ambitions. This full moon is about gaining wisdom about the past. It's not about activity or action. Ketu doesn't want activity or action. But what we can get here is an understanding of the past. Now, what's interesting here is I pointed this out in the previous video that I did, Rahu's conjunction with the sun and Rahu's influence over the sun. Of course, sun is ruler of Leo, and therefore we see Rahu's influence over Rahu's influence over the sun will obviously affect Ketu, because Ketu sits here in Leo. So it's interesting because while Ketu is that energy that will seek to purify the bhava, to purify the samskaras, and to relinquish them, Rahu actually has more influence over Ketu this time around, because Rahu is joined the sun. So Ketu is brought into Rahu's agenda here. And that's interesting. So we need to do another calculation. As I said, for Libra, Rahu is engaging the Libra with their self-expression, with their creativity, and so on like that. But there's all these other planets here. So we just focus on Sun. As I said, Sun for Libra shows the aspirations and ambitions. So the Libra will be engaged with their ambitions, but it will be based upon the Libra's own trajectory. It will be based upon themselves, and it will have that dharmic foundation. So serving others from the basis of their true self. This is what Rahu is activating and bringing to life and forming and creating. So this full moon lunar eclipse is an opportunity to learn from the past. And of course, that will help Rahu. That will help Rahu's agenda. And whatever Rahu wants to be doing, Rahu's actions, they'll be wiser because of that. So I just want to show an interesting example from my life, my Gemini ascendant life. Here you can see, hopefully you can see the birth chart here, my birth chart, and then here's the lunar eclipse chart. Now, here you can see in my chart, we have the nodal axis in rather like Libra. You can see it's in the 11th and 5th axis. So that, but for me, that's Aries, Aries Libra. My sun is in Libra, so I'm a Libra sun. So, you know, I have those Libra Venus traits. But I'm going on a tangent now. What I want to talk about is a little interesting thing that I noticed, comparing the transits to the birth chart. Here you can see Ketu in my chart is, like I said, in Libra. So that affects my creativity. You know, that really shows that I was born into this life as a creative person. So that's the fundamental of what that is. Particularly artistic, because their Ketus join the Sun and Mercury. So that's particularly very artistic. You know, that really sums up childhood for me. And you can see Rahu there in Aries. Rahu, of course, embodies the future. And some greater things, some aspirations, some mega contribution, you know, to society, some contribution to the world, some kind of vision or dream about, you know, some creative way to solve the problems of existence. This kind of thing, you know, this is what Rahu is bringing out and making me engage with. I would say Rahu's not making me engage with anything. It's the Rahu part of me that's engaging with that. It's this primal desire to, in this life, to go for those things, while Ketu shows, you know, straight out of the gate, creative, artistic kind of person. But, you know, as I said, Ketu brings dissatisfaction. Ketu brings a frustration, and we're likely to feel exhausted with the whatever Ketu is associated with. So it's going to affect the samskaras. We're not going to feel like, you know, eventually at some point, we're not going to feel like doing those things. I went through, I've been through some great difficulty, regarding my creativity and my art. It's taken various forms, but in general, there's this the effect of Ketu is to subtract, to negate, to take away. So it's really, it's a weird thing where it's like something that sort of defines me or has defined me, but then something that I can't really access or use or manifest, because there's this uncomfortability there. There's this past issue, grievance. This is the Ketu thing that we need to contemplate on to gain wisdom around that. But in general, I will say it's kind of a neutral thing now. For me, it just becomes more and more subtle, less and less material, which is, Ketu's tendency. So the way I look at it is there's a wealth of creative wisdom there for me. I just, won't necessarily do anything with it. However, that wisdom of the past is the basis for the future karma, which is what Rahu represents. So Rahu's really, I'm looking now more at Rahu to do with adulthood and Ketu to do more with childhood. And so Ketu really forms the basis for what Rahu's doing. Don't want to talk any more about that, but an interesting thing that I noticed is that because so in my birth chart I've got Ketu join the sun, and in the transit at the moment we've got Rahu join the sun, and so Rahu's really bringing out that and activating that sun for Gemini, by the way, is the constructive tendency, the tendency or the karmas to really make and form and fashion something and communicate something. It's really the bulk of the speech and action, you could say, speech, action, and desire, and the products of the speech, action, and desire. So very important for creativity, especially, look at this placement. We've got Sun in that bhava of creativity here. So certainly, during this eclipse season, I felt some of that activating again, some of that coming back to life. And we had Venus recently, Rahu conjunct Venus when Venus was in Aquarius. So again, Rahu joined Venus is the opposite energy. I've got Ketu in Libra here in the chart. So just a couple of observations. You will have some things going on in your chart. So, what we need to do is also look at the birth chart and see, and with comparisons, what's happening and relate these things together, and then we get more information to work with, and so on. So let's take a little look at what else is going on. I've zoomed back here. Here you can see, so at the eclipse, at the full moon eclipse, Mercury's retrograde. So here we go, retrograde, but then it went retrograde on Thursday. So there you can see Tuesday into Thursday was Taurus into Gemini, Mercury's direct going through Aquarius. Then it starts to go retrograde. So certainly, as always, retrograde interrupts the samskaras of that planet. So, and also look at the association. Placement is in Aquarius, so look for delays and interruptions to the Aquarius things, like I said, to the Mercury things. Mercury's conjunct Venus, Sun, Mars. So we're looking at delays around those kind of things in a sort of external sense. But as always, with retrograde, it's more important to recognize the spiritual potential of the retrograde planet. Therefore, it will be easier to concentrate, particularly on the Aquarius things. Let's see how long this retrograde lasts for. Usually a couple of weeks. See, Mercury's going backwards there. Exact conjunction with Venus. So Mercury will go past Venus. So you want to be aware of that exact conjunction with Venus. Backwards to Purva Bhadrapada. This is pre-lunar eclipse, by the way, zooming back in time. And Venus pops into Pisces. Mercury heading back. Goes past Sun. Exact conjunction with Sun. During this time, where are we at? No, March 8th. March 8th, moon is in Libra. Rahu. Mercury's going into Shatabisha Nakshatra, exact conjunction with Rahu. And then, oh, look at that. So let's have a look at that's a Mina Sankranti, isn't it? Mina Sankranti. Birth of the sun in Pisces. Let's go exact for that. Yeah, there we go. So March 14th, Mina Sankranti. We're giving birth to that new self. The Pisces self begins to, I was going to say wax. It begins to enter the mind, still in waning state, still in waning phase, but the new self enters the mind, and it's a Pisces self. Excuse me. So at this time, Mercury is still retrograde as we're going towards that Pisces moon. Mercury retrograde, gone past Rahu. So let's might as well have a look at the see when that exact date of the new moon in Pisces is. Can do that. There we go. So March 19th, we have that new moon in Pisces. Ignore that. That's I just adjusted the eclipse, the Leo full moon eclipse. But there we go. So Mercury still retrograde at the time of the Pisces moon. I believe it doesn't go back into Capricorn though. So yeah, there we go. So Mercury direct, sort of as soon as the moon goes into Aries on March 20th. So that is about 4 weeks. Just under 4 weeks. So yeah, it's one of the longer retrogrades, slightly longer for Mercury. So from now, I'm recording this when the moon's in Gemini. So yeah, Feb 26th. It was Feb 26th to March 27th. So that is just under a month. So we've got that month of Mercury retrograde, and that is a time for concentrating on the Aquarius things. And, you know, Aquarius is where everything is at the moment, of course, because we've had this eclipse cycle. And so that can only be beneficial. Notice as well this correlation with the aspect from Jupiter. So we've got Jupiter's special aspect onto all of the grahas in Aquarius, but pay special attention to the Jupiter retrograde aspect onto Mercury retrograde. So that's going to be for, because Jupiter goes direct soon, I think on March the 8th and March the 11th. So up until March the 11th, we have that Jupiter retrograde onto Mercury retrograde. So that's going to be a time of, I guess you could say, amplified contemplation, amplified reflection, and a time of feeling, especially the combination of those Jupiter things and those Mercury things. When Jupiter does go direct, this will be direct moving forward in Gemini. So we want to understand the mercurial context. We want to understand the Gemini placement, the Gemini context for Jupiter. And we want to understand Jupiter for our ascendant sign, and noticing that transition from being very feeling oriented with that planet to being action oriented with the planet. So things will start to move again with the Jupiter things in our life. So notice that on March 11th. What else do we have? Oh, we've got Saturn combust. Mars still combust. Got that really long Mars combustion that's lasted since, was it last November? It's a very long Mars combustion period until, anyway, in the previous video, I talk about that. I think it's since last November, you know, about 4 months combustion. Let's see what else. Oh, we have Venus change sign. Yeah, so Venus is lining up for that Pisces moon. So Venus, obviously when Venus goes into Pisces, we have the exaltation of Venus. We have the Venus in its highest placement. As always, the exaltation of any planet will bring challenges, but also that high sattvic nature. So exalted Venus may be spiritually beneficial for love, relationships, and those kind of things. But that doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be easy. Okay, so that's just a summary of the general summary of the transits during the waning phase up until the new moon. Any questions? Go for it.